Hello, in this video I will be talking about and giving a quick overview into Cuneiform. As you can see, Cuneiform is a programming language as well as a platform for the development of conversational interfaces. So how does it work? So the first thing you should do is you could develop an application using the Cuneiform programming language with the help of a visual programming environment. And then you could deploy the application in a remote environment such as a container or a virtual machine. And finally, you can connect it with any conversational system such as an Amazon Echo, Google Assistant, Facebook Messenger, or even your own custom chatbot. So let's get started. Um, so for this tutorial, I have built an application for a pizza shop. The development environment looks like this for the conversational application. So in our pizza shop application, we assume that the user may want to do two things. The first is to welcome the system, and the other, of course, is to order a pizza. These intentions of the user are identified by something called intents. So if you want to learn more about intents, what you could do is you could go to the documentation section and select intents, and you can read all about it. And the link to the documentation will also be available in the link in the description below. So for example, in the welcome intent, the user wants to welcome the system and may say something like hi, hello, welcome, good evening, something like that. And then thereafter we should program the application to respond when the user says hello. So as you can see right now, there's this one blue box called main. This is called a node. To see what a node does, what you can do is you can click on this nodes tab and then click on action code. So in this case, our application would respond with something like hello, or it might say hello, what can I help you with? How may I be of assistance? Something like that. So let's try it and see. So let's say something like hi, and it will say hello, how may I help you? So the other thing the user would want to do is, of course, order pizza. So for that, that's shown by the order intent, and the users may say something like, "I'm hungry. I want to order pizza," or "I want pizza," something like that. And you can also see there's something called slots. So when users are interacting with our application, they may pass along certain pieces of information such as the type of the order. So it could be a delivery or takeaway, and which you could check here. It is either a delivery or takeaway, and you could also give a time for your order. So let's go back to our main view. Now we see something a bit more complicated than last time. So this is something that's interesting about Cuneiform, and this is called a cuneiform graph. If you want to learn more about the cuneiform conversation graphs, what you could do is you could go to conversation graphs in the documentation. So our graph has four nodes which are connected with each other. The nodes do not always have to be connected like this, but in our case it is. So each node has a priority as well as a set of preconditions. So if the preconditions in the nodes are satisfied, the code in the node gets executed. So for example, in our get order type node, it has the highest priority, and it has a precondition where the order type has not been mentioned. So the user hasn't mentioned whether they want something delivered or if it's takeaway. So if we say that we want to order pizza without mentioning whether if it's a delivery or takeaway, the code inside the node gets executed. Let's see the code uh, by clicking the action code button. So this would ask something like, would you like delivery or takeaway? From delivery or takeaway. And for the question it is asking from the user, the code says something like the user action. It says the user action should be answer. So what is user action? So if we go into responses in our documentation, we could say a bunch of user actions. So in this case, it has something called answer, and answer is the user is requested to specify a specific slot value. So so if we go, yes, so what it does is it basically asks the user to specify the value for the slot type, which is whether if it's delivery or takeaway. And uh, whatever answer the user gives, it gets assigned to this variable. And if the user doesn't give a proper answer, it will within this while loop it will keep if it will check if the user has provided an answer. If not, it will keep asking the user the same question, uh, and it will ask the user if he wants a delivery or a takeaway. So let's try this. So let's say something like I want pizza. I will say, would you like delivery or takeaway? And then it will ask for the time since we haven't mentioned the time. So let's say something like we want a delivery. And it will say, at what time would you like your delivery? And the interesting about time is we could give a specific date and time, or we could say something like in an hour, and it will automatically identify which time you want it to be delivered. And then, since we haven't mentioned an address and said that we want our pizza to be delivered, um, it it will call the get address node. So if we go to our code in the get address node, you can see it'll ask for something like what is your address or may I know your address. And in this one you can see a user action called command. So what command does is the entire response provided by the user is taken as a string. So for example, so whatever we say as the address, it will take the entire statement as a string and store it in the variable called address. So for example, let's try. We could give some random, and it will store that address in the address variable. So finally, our search pizza node gets executed. So you could also check the code for the entire intent instead of just each individual node by clicking on the code tab at the top. As you can see the code for the entire intent and each individual node separately as well. So as you can see, it asks what kind of pizza do you want to order, and it takes whatever we say and get the details of the pizza from an external API that I have created. So this API, what it does is it actually scrapes through the Pizza Hut website and gets details of the pizza that we mentioned. So let's pick something like meat lovers, and this will call our API, and then say it will say, for example, meat lovers has crusts of pan, stuffed, and sausage. So what it does is it gets the response sent from our API, and then it gets the crust from that response, and then puts it into a message and asks us to select one of those crusts. So then we see another action called select. So what select does is it provides the user with a set of options to select from. So as you can see, it's we get the option to select pan, stuffed, and sausage. And so for each of these options, the user might say something along these lines. So let's say that we want to order a stuffed pizza, and then it will ask for the size. So for example, for since we selected a stuffed meat lovers pizza, that particular pizza only has the sizes of medium and large. So what we could say, let's pick large for pizza, and finally it will give a summary of our order saying that you have ordered a meat lovers pizza with stuffed crust of size large. Is this correct? So this particular question is, you can see the summary here, and it has a user action of confirm. So what confirm does is the user can respond with a confirmation. It could be yes, no, or I don't know. So for example, if the user says if the user says no, it will return 0. If yes, it says 1. If the user says he doesn't know, it will return -1. If the system cannot identify what the user if the system cannot identify the confirmation of the user, it will say something like it's unable to identify. So um, we will so let's say that this is correct, and so what it does is it identifies the confirmation, and if the confirmation is 1, it will say your order has been placed, as it did, and then it gets all the details of your order and sends it to the external API. So we can go into the pizza shop website, and if you refresh, we can see the meat lovers stuffed large pizza with the address we gave and the time at which it wants the pizza to be delivered. So, so what can our pizza shop application do? So what can we do next with our pizza shop application? Of course, next is to deploy the application and then integrate it with something like a messenger bot on a Facebook page or maybe a chatbot on the website of the pizza shop. And if you want, you can go to our documentation to learn more about how to set up Cuneiform on your own device and try it out yourself. So yeah, that is a basic introduction into what Cuneiform can do. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. And thank you for watching and hope you enjoyed the video.